We've got a special brunch series of shows cooking for you that could serve to spice up your gathering. First up, Eggs Benedict, California style. Come on now, it's a beautiful thing right here on Moonshine Place Kitchen. Hello folks, and we welcome you to the Moonshine Place Kitchen once again. Today we're going to start a special series on brunch. Brunch items that you can make at home. Not too difficult, but they're things that you can make that might impress your guests whenever you bring guests in on a weekend or weekday, however you bring your guests in. We've always found in our home that it's always been really special to make something a little different that they wouldn't make at home. A little bit more extravagant. So we're going to start off today with Eggs Benedict, California style, but we're actually going to make our English muffins from scratch. It's not that difficult to make. It takes a little bit of time, and we're going to make them fairly authentic the way the English muffins are made in England. So let's get right into it. We're going to start by taking 3 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to add to that, well, about 1.5 teaspoons, much better than a pinch of salt, but you got to get some salt flavor in there, okay? Then about 1/4 ounce of yeast, dry double-acting yeast. And all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and incorporate all this together. Now, if you notice, we're not using our KitchenAid mixer for doing this. There's a reason for that is we're going to be a little bit tender with our flour and our mixture here to begin with. We don't want to really beat on it too much. Not that it would make that big a difference, but we want to try and be a little bit more tender on this. Okay, now I have 2 cups, well actually 1.75 cups, scratch that. I have 1.75 cups of milk, and that's whole milk, organic whole milk, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drizzle that in, okay? Nice and easy. I'm going to drizzle that in and mix it up. Let me get some of that mixed up already. Now, one of the comments that we've gotten from our fans, and we've been picking up some fans along the way, is they'd like to see our videos get a little shorter. So that's why we're going to try to expedite our recipes here online a little bit, and we're going to start breaking up our videos a little bit so that when we have multiple things to cook and multiple things to do, that basically we'll do it in several shows. And we're going to also be working on our editing a little bit. You'll notice that our intro, and then a little bit later, you'll notice our outro is a little bit different. We're going to keep working on that, and we're going to work on improving our show. So having said that, I'm mixing this up, and she's starting to come together a little bit as a dough. Of course, we need to add the rest of this milk. Now, Eggs Benedict is a very simple dish to make. All it really is boiled eggs, a meat, and a sauce that you'll make a little bit later, the Homemade sauce, and a couple other minor things that we put into it. It's really not that difficult a thing to do. But when we get around to making the eggs, I'm going to show you a really nifty little trick that you can do to keep your eggs together so they don't get stringy in the pot when you're boiling. For years I struggled to make good boiled eggs until I did a little research, and I found how some of the best chefs make it, and they keep the eggs together. They keep them formed up. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and continue to mix this up. It'll mix up into a little bit of a ball. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. When it comes out, 2-3 hours, I'm going to then go ahead and lay it out, and I'm going to roll it out, and we'll pick up the show then. We're going to be fast at this, so don't go away. You can't miss a single minute of this. Come on back. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, welcome back, and we're just about ready to move to the next operation here on making our English muffins. Our dough has been sitting in the refrigerator a little bit over an hour. An hour is kind of good enough. You can leave it a little longer if you want, but an hour is good enough for today. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this out of the refrigerator, and we're going to move on. Just give me 1 second. All right. So there's our dough. And as you can tell, it's a very moist dough so far. So we're gonna go ahead and put a little flour down on our surface. Unlike the pasta we made recently, we can add a little bit of flour to this process as we go. Let's try and get this up and out of here. She's sticky. We'll get it out. There we go. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and knead this for about 5 minutes. Roughly 5 minutes. Okay? But it's going to be a little sticky, so don't be bashful as far as adding a little bit of flour, because you're going to need to work with this dough a little bit. Got to add a little bit more flour here. Roll it around. It's not that big a deal. Okay? Let's start kneading it. Okay? And kneading is very similar to what we did the other day with the pasta, which is basically you want to push it. Once we get this handling just about right, push it with your palms of your hand, fold it, turn it, roll it again, push it. See, push it, bring it together. And we want to start to knead this. Just a little bit more flour will be pretty good here. Okay? Now, like everything else that you do with flour, it really comes down to the basic humidity that you're working on during the day and how much humidity is in the air as to how much flour you have to add. That goes for anything that you're going to be baking, any kind of bread, pasta, any of this business. You really have to know, you really have to have a feel for what's in the air. And today in Florida, it's a very humid day. So we're going to need to add quite a bit of flour to this to make this work right. I think we're kind of about there. See if I can do this without making too big a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and knead this for about the next 5 minutes or so. And then we'll be back and I'll show you. We'll just form it up into a ball, put it back in this bowl. And then it's going to have to set up overnight. It's going to really, you can make this work for the whole day if you want. You know, if you do this in the morning and 8 hours later you want to work with it. But in this case, I'm going to let it sit up overnight. So let me go ahead and knead this for about 5 minutes. And then when we come back, I'll form up the bowl. We'll stick it in the bowl. I'll form up the bowl. We'll stick it in the bowl. We'll get it in the refrigerator. And that'll be it for today. No big deal. It's a little bit of process. You got to do it in advance. This part is very simple. We'll be back in 1 second. Don't go away, honestly. And welcome back. We're back this morning. We're ready to go again. Our dough has been sitting in the refrigerator proofing all night. It's about 11:15 this morning. So let's take a look. Let's see how she's grown. And that looks pretty good. It grew an awful lot, The dough is obviously cool to the touch, as you would think. So you can see there's a lot of air bubbles in it, so it's really active. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little flour down to begin with. And we're going to go ahead and peel this out. Peel this right out of the bowl. Okay? It's still sticky, as you would think. We can get rid of this bowl. We don't need that right now. And what we're going to want to do, let's put a little bit more flour on here so I can work with it. Okay? What we're going to want to do is just roll this out into a log. Okay? We're going to roll that right out into a log. All right? And what we're going to do then is we're going to cut it up into smaller pieces that we can actually start to make our muffins. Now, I like a muffin about 3.5 inches in diameter. So, you know, about that big. That's about as big a muffin as I like. So it's up to you. If you want a little bit smaller muffin, you can cut these a little bit smaller. You can weigh your dough and get it right that way. but I can kind of go by eye. So I'm going to cut this up. I'll get 7, 8, maybe 9 muffins out of this, but let's see what we end up with. All right, so there's a cut, and we'll continue to do that right up the line, okay? And we'll see what we end up with. All right. Well, that one's a little big. I'll cut that one in half. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, that's going to be a small one. So what I'm going to do is, let's start with this guy right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dough and I'm going to actually really work it in my hand to begin with, like this, okay? Pull it together, pull it together, pull it together, okay? I'm just sort of squeezing it in my hand, using my fingers just like that, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to roll it a little bit like a meatball. I'm going to go right down on the counter, and I'm going to roll it up like a meatball, okay? Try and pull that together a little bit, okay? Just like that. All right. See if we can pull that together a little better, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down on it and start to turn it. Turn it like this, press down, okay? Turn it, press down, okay? Press down. Turn it, press down. Now I'm not killing the thing. I'm kind of lightly pressing on it, you see? Just like that. I'm going to pinch this dough a little bit like that. Just like that. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get all these pieces of dough formulated up into a little muffin, the beginning of a muffin, and then we're going to then coat them on one side with a little semolina flour, and we're going to put them in a tray. And we'll get back to that in just 1 minute. Give me a little bit of time to do all this and not bore the daylights out of all of you. So we'll be back in 1 minute. We'll get all these done, put them in the tray, and we'll be moving on to the next and final proofing. Stay with us. We're having a good time. All right, welcome back. We are ready to actually bake these babies, really ready. But before we put them in the oven, which has been preheated to 350 with a pan in it already, because we want that pan to be hot when we place the muffins on it, we are actually going to dry fry these muffins. I've got a nonstick skillet, and as you see, they've really grown in size. So I'm going to take a couple of these off here and stick them in the pan. They stuck together a little bit. They really grew in size, but we've got some beautiful looking muffins here, okay? So I'm going to take a couple of these and stick them in the pan and let them start to brown up. We're going to brown these on 2 sides, okay? All right. We'll start with 3. You can see here they've really grown. Okay, the little guy in the end. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to brown these up. No oil, no anything. Just let them brown up. Just hang with me. We're going to flip this camera off and flip it back on in just a minute or 2, so we don't waste time just showing you how we're going to fry these. But just hang in there. 1 minute. Hang in there. Don't go away. All right. There's our 3 muffins. And as you see, they've fried up very nice and golden brown. Everything looks really good. So now I'm going to take these and I'm going to transfer these over to the oven, and we're going to put them right on the cooking sheet that's already preheated. Like I said before, we're going to go 350. Okay, there's the sheet, nice aluminum sheet. And we're going to put them right on there, and we're going to cook for approximately 8 to 10 minutes, or until when you knock on them, we'll take one out and we'll knock on it, and we're looking for like a hollow sound. Okay? Now there's 3 that go in, and I got to make sure that I keep these away from the next ones I'm going to put in, because I'm going to be cooking just 3 at a time. Normally I cook more than that at a time if we weren't doing the show, but to make it a little bit more efficient, we'll just do that 3 at a time bit right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start frying up the next And in about 8 minutes, we're going to check on those, and we'll catch up with you at that moment to see how they're looking. See you in 8 minutes. There you have it, folks. English muffins, done perfectly, homemade, ready to go for our Eggs Benedict, which we'll be doing next in our next installment of our brunch shows. I want to thank you for joining us. We have so much to look forward to coming up, so many dishes for this brunch series. We're really excited about bringing this to you. This is just the beginning. You got to come back and join us. We're here for you. See you next time.